Do not adjust your radio dial. You are tuned in to the Mark Order Podcast. Join the Mark Order.
Hello, it is Wednesday night, so you know what that means. It means it's Ryan and Joe, and not surprisingly, no Kate. She has decided to big time us once again for a bigger, more successful and paying gig. Kind of annoying if you ask me. I mean, you know, I don't know who does that to people, but that's on her. Really hurts our feelings, but she seems to not care. But I am joined by Asian Joe. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing well, Ryan. How are you? Long time no see.
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a handful of days, I think. 2 or 3. I didn't see you Sunday. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, 3. We're on the 4th day.
Okay.
So for those not understanding the joke, Joe, I actually have finally met my co-host in person, which has been a long time coming. Joe, Kate, and I were down in DC for New Japan Strong Capital Collision. Sorry. We were there for that and then spent the weekend down there just exploring what area of DC we were in. Had a bit of the harbor. And yeah, so I finally met Joe, but Joe left extremely early on Sunday, and I did not. Scott, I know what she said last week. I'm still offended she's working there instead of here. I mean, I can be offended. But hi, Scott. Hi, Big G. Hi, Pieces. Hi, Lord Kev. So, Joe, how did you like DC?
DC was good. I'm happy to hang out with both of you. This was probably my third or so time being around Kate, and my first time being around you. So
superior.
The one takeaway I had was I really kind of had hoped that all your random singing was just like a work, like just a bit, but it really wasn't. You really sing at any opportunity. You have a song in your head, you sing it no matter what we're doing.
Yeah, I have a song in my heart. I said hi, Kylie. I 100% said hi, Kylie.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Nope. Check the tape.
I did. Oh my god. All right, so I'm just gonna say this early. So now that we're on this is, I know Scott's gonna make a comment about this. All my episodes are short because I'm not quite as good of a host as Kate. But she'll never listen to this, so I could say that and not worry that she's gonna get her thing. She's very good at this. I'm not, so I'm a little quicker because I'm not as good. However, today's gonna be especially quick. Your boy had a migraine that he is getting over. If he was still had it, he would not be here. But his brain is not working, so he legitimately thought he said hi to Kylie. That's where my brain is at right now.
Well, we're gonna make it worth it because I hurried up and got cosmetically cleared so I could do the show tonight.
Oh, that's right. Well, I don't think it was just for this show. I don't think you were thrilled not being cosmetically cleared. So yeah, I always have a song in my heart. And you guys loved it. Kate doesn't understand weather.
That's accurate.
I mean, we're walking in a 90-something degree day, and she's in a sweatshirt being like, well, we're down by the harbor. There's water. Okay.
Yeah. And how long did that sweatshirt stay on before she shed it for her tank top?
I think we went to the bathroom first, which was air conditioned, and almost as soon as she got out of that, she was like, yep, I am taking that off because it is 90-something degrees.
That was the hottest day. It really was.
I'm fairly certain we got free parking.
I would think you didn't because I feel like my credit card got charged $42. Not sure how.
There's no way. They don't know what room you are. No, it might have got, no, there's no way. She never put in a room number.
I know, but there's a $42 charge on my debit card from the hotel. So
what did it say?
It just said like whatever the hotel, then the $42, and the only thing that was $42 was parking that I can think of.
No, parking was $45.
Oh,
so I don't know what you got charged for, but you might want to look into that. But so no, I think we got free parking on both nights. Because the same thing happened to us leaving as it did the day before, which is, so anyone's like, what are they talking about? Parking at this hotel was apparently incredibly expensive. It was $45 a night, which is just insane. Kate lost her ticket the first night, and as we tried to pull out, it just let us out without charging us. And then that happened again when we were leaving. So, and yes, Corey, this is the Park Order podcast, but listen. Oh, and we went. Yeah, I got nothing. I got no other stories. It's not like we did anything crazy. We saw some good wrestling. New Japan Strong's show in DC Capital Collision was a lot of fun.
Yeah, saw some good wrestling. I survived the trip without one of my front teeth. Kate is definitely not the best skee-ball player between the three of us.
Yeah, if Kate ever claims she's good, she's lying. She has no visual proof of it. She has no she didn't take any pictures, so she has no proof. And for anyone wondering, Joe's talk about the teeth. I think the day before we were set to leave, we get a text from Joe saying, "Oh, it was Thursday, so the day of you were leaving."
Yeah.
You sent a text saying, "Oh, I chipped a tooth."
Yes. Yeah, it happened
That's
about
always fun.
an hour before I had to be at the airport.
I don't know if I would have had the courage to fly.
It didn't hurt, so I got it taken care of.
Oh no, you're good now. I mean, you clearly survived, but I just think that'd be one of those things where I'm like, I don't know if I'd have the courage to fly when you hear horror stories about it. But that's just me. I'm a coward. Trying to think, there's nothing. I mean, aside from the one thing, Kate, of course, trying to steal all our thunder for this show, decided to go out and make a Instagram reel about it. But the one thing I will note that is definitely AEW relevant is that Mercedes Moné puts just as much effort into a 1,800 person New Japan Strong show in DC as she does her 50,000 person show in Wembley. She put full effort, had gear, had new gear, had an entrance, had a great speech after. And I know that seems all, why wouldn't she? But at her level, she could phone it in, and I don't think anyone would complain. But she very much did not phone it in, and she had much better match than her Wembley match against Momo, who Kate is now a huge fan of. Momo just needs to lose the bat. A bat has never gotten over in wrestling, so I don't know why they're thinking that can work. No one who's used a bat has ever been hugely successful in wrestling.
Nope. I mean, I can honestly say the closest might have been Chris Jericho.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only one I can even think of. Especially, I think her bat was like black, and that just never works.
Yeah. I mean, what else are you gonna add with it? Face paint? Too much.
And like black outfit. Yeah, okay. No, that was really good. Leo Rush versus what the hell? Who am I thinking of? Who did Leo Rush face? Why am I blanking on such a comment? It was a great match, and I'm blanking.
Why am I blanking now?
Corey, if you were there, so if you know who Leo Rush wrestled, please tell us, because I'm blanking, because it was an awesome match. Again, my brain is broken today. I cannot remember anything.
Wow, why am I blanking?
Yeah, it was a bigger dude, so it was one of New Japan's bigger. Oh no, Gabe Kidd.
Oh, okay.
And it was awesome. It was an incredibly awesome match. Those two killed it, and then. Yeah, I mean that was there was a lot of good matches. I don't want to. It's not a. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Corey. Corey saying he covered it for Wrestling Observer. So everyone go read Corey's stuff at Wrestling Observer. But he took on Gabe Kidd. Awesome match. I can't remember. There was a lot of good matches, but they were the most AEW relevant ones because they featured actual AEW talent. Leo's kind of a mix of both, but still. So trying to think if there's anything else that we have to cover from DC. We collided. We watched Collide together. We ate. No one will ever find the bodies we buried.
What bodies?
Exactly. I'm trying to think if Kate did anything silly. Since she's not here, I get to make fun of her. Her GPS is legitimately just broken. On the way home, because Kate and I drove down together on the way home, her GPS kept taking her off the road we were on to put us back on it.
Oh, wow.
we're fairly certain she had it set for like to auto adjust to the fastest route every time. So like if there was like a slowdown in traffic, it would try to bypass it. But I don't think that actually works. I think it just takes you off the thing like 6 times over. Because when we were leaving Capital Collision to get back to the hotel, it took us. I had it on my phone, but I couldn't keep my phone up because it was dying. And but it took us the most backwards way I've ever seen. Like you're gonna make a left here, then right here, left here, and I'm like, I think we were on this road already, and somehow we're back on it. Yeah, and she's not here to defend herself, so I can make fun of her.
Yeah, I think we traveled down like every honorary boulevard you can think of.
We did, and then we saw all the statues by the harbor. Oh, and Kate and Joe got the Ryan walking tour for history. I told them all the spots.
Oh yes, that was what were some of the highlights, Ryan?
The water taxi that we almost took, but we didn't. The boat is the boat that George Washington used to cross the Delaware. The hotel we stayed at is actually where the Redcoats stayed. I know, but they gave us the deal. I'm trying to think of the Washington had a great victory somewhere, I think, around the harbor.
What was what is now the Whole Foods? What was that one?
Oh, the Whole Foods. No, that was just Washington's Whole Foods.
Oh, okay.
We think about it. He needed a place to eat, so that was just Washington's Whole Food. Point that out instead of the Capitol building that was to the right of it. Well, right across. Well, not across the street, but just as equally visible. And I gotta laugh. Okay, Scott, you got me on this one. Kate's internet affects your car's GPS too. Yes, it does. It very much does.
There's one common denominator among all of that.
Yes, it's Kate and her. Yeah. So that there was lots of historical sites that I pointed out to everyone. The CVS was the pharmacy that they used to treat wounded soldiers. These were the things that people needed to know, and I told them to you guys. People will pay big bucks for that kind of tour.
The walking history tour with Ryan. Priceless.
It's just amazing these modern buildings have existed since the 1700s.
You got to preserve history.
Our parking garage is where they parked all the horses.
Oh, fun fact.
Yeah. It still was pavement. I don't know why. Horses didn't really like it, but they still paved it.
Fancy. Probably saved on the shoes.
That's true. No one likes doing horseshoes. Except for the game. I think that's our DC trip. I'm not very good at telling stories because I don't have. But it's also I'm going into it. Nothing of great note had happened. It was just a fun trip where you got to see good wrestling and then hang out with people, and that to me is the best kind of trip. You just have a good time.
They often say the best part about memories is making them.
I like reliving them.
You like revising.
So Scott wants to know, did they get receipts a mile and a half long too? So yes, but they were used as sashes to delineate who's been treated and who hasn't.
Oh, I thought they wrote the declaration on that.
No, that's where CVS got the idea. CVS is like, look how long that parchment is. What if we put this as a receipt for everything everyone gets? So I thought about. Oh, and we went to the fancy candy store where I got bottled Coke, glass bottle Coke. I love glass bottle Coke.
You really do.
I do.
It was weird.
It makes me feel fancy.
I thought maybe at the brunch cafe we went to, you were just really happy that it was small and it made you feel like Andre the Giant because you're like,
no. It's the glass bottle. I hate small drinks. Give me a big drink so I have more of it. But no, and we went back there the next day when you were already in flight. So I had the same meal. It was just as good. Still a glass bottle Coke. All right. Well, that's enough. I got nothing. We're going to do our commercials real quick. But before I go to commercials, which the commercials are, we're on the Shining Wizards Network. So we're going to play a bunch of shows. Well, we're going to let them talk because they're cool like that about all their awesomeness. But before we do that, I'm going to encourage you to support us in a way. One, like, subscribe, do all that stuff that you're supposed to do. I think you all know by now. But also, you can go to our Pro Wrestling Tee store and buy one of our 4 t-shirts. Logo and words in front, words in front with one with the back, and word in front in the right corner with a symbol on the back. See, that's how I'm much better at this thing, Kate. So please go buy some of our shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/markorderpod. Or if you're like, I don't like typing all that in, go to any of our socials at markorderpod. There's a link tree. Click the link tree. Click the link to the store. It gets you there. Buy it. Buy all 4. Buy multiples. What if you lose or gain weight? You should probably buy in multiple sizes. I'm just saying. See, I'm a thinker. It's a fat guy move. All right. What'd you say?
I just make them into cutoffs.
Well, what if I really like a shirt, but I don't lose? You gotta have it. That's beside the point. I'm going to put on the commercial block now. So please listen to these other shows that are on the Shining Wizards
We'd like
Network.
to thank each and every one of you for tuning in every Monday night to listen to the Shining Wizards. If you'd like to continue to support us outside of listening, we've got a few ways for you to do that. If you shop at Amazon, go over to amazon.shiningwizards.com, do your shopping as usual, and when you make your purchase, a little bit of that purchase price will go back to support the show. If you like to wear t-shirts, merch.shiningwizards.com will take you to our Pro Wrestling Tees store, where we've got over a dozen great designs from over 11 years of professional wrestling podcasting. You can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/wizardspodcast, where each and every week we call out your name as one of our show producers, and the more you support us, the more things that you're entitled to receive, and believe me, they are fantastic. If you can't support us monetarily, if you don't shop at Amazon, that's absolutely fine. Continue to listen to us wherever you listen to us on the World Wide Web, and make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Doesn't cost you anything, helps us out, and we can continue to bring you the love fest that is the Shining Wizards.
What's up, folks? It's your boy, the Impact Player, Mr. Philly Ray, inviting all of you to check out the Turnbuckle Throwbacks Wrestling Podcast. Join us as we cover all things current in the world of pro wrestling, as well as paying homage to the old school, the squared circle. So listen in and find out why we are the recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment broadcasting. Find us on all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast from. And as always, we are the proudest members of the Shining Wizards Network and Rant Entertainment Media.
Are you tired of being lied to every day by the mainstream media?
Do you want to know what's really going on in the world?
Do you want to make up your own mind about things and not be told what to think or say?
Then listen to Inconclusive Breakdown, a weekly anti-PC look at the world of entertainment and current events, brought to you without censorship or filters.
You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts, BitChute, and on ShiningWizardsNetwork.com.
And also, we're a proud member of the Shining Wizards Network.
Got 30 minutes to kill?
Come check out 30 Screams or Less, where we review a horror movie in 30 minutes or less. We cover new movies and old ones too.
We'll give our honest thoughts on the movie, good or shit, as well as a rating of each one that we watch.
New episodes weekly, available on the Shining Wizards Network and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Corey.
Come check us out at 30 Screams or Less.
G'day guys, my name is Thomas, one half of the Broadcast Podcast. With our podcast, we go back and watch wrestling events from WWE, WWF, WCW, ECW, AEW, and many other wrestling promotions. You can check us out on Twitter at The Broadcast, that's THEBROKAST, and you can also download all episodes on Apple Podcast, Castbox, Castro, and many other podcast apps.
You like your music heavy? Then check out Radioactive Metal on the Shining Wizards Network. For over 16 years now, Radioactive Metal has been one of the longest running podcasts. Over the years, we've interviewed some legendary metal acts, had some awesome discussions, and cranked a hell of a lot of tunes. So join your cool Uncle Snowy and his co-host Aaron for the audio mosh pit that is Radioactive Metal here on the Shining Wizards Network.
Well, the action is underway!
What's up, everyone? When on the Shining Wizards Network, be sure to check out Wrestling Night in Canada. If we're not recording another kick-ass podcast,
Or playing in punk bands.
Or recording kick-ass heavy metal albums.
then we're sitting back, we're grabbing a couple brews, and going over everything to do in the world of pro wrestling.
Because we're from Winnipeg, you idiots.
The Mark Order Podcast is the only show you need if you're looking for dedicated coverage of everything AEW on the Shining Wizards Network. Join us live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 10:15 p.m. Eastern after Dynamite to chat along with the show. If you can't join us live, listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social channels at Mark Order Pod and use the hashtag #JoinTheMarkOrder, because if you don't find us,
we will find you.
I'm Kevin Rowe.
I'm Al Day.
And we're a couple of down under pounders that co-host Rogue Day Dots, an action figure collecting podcast where we talk about, well, just about anything that tickles our fancy at any given moment.
We're grumpy old men, and sometimes people get on our nerves. And when you get on our nerves, guess what? You get off the lawn.
Get off my lawn, asshole! We also go on a little bit of a mission. We go back and we're grading every wrestling figure line that's out there. I'm talking LJNs. I'm talking Jacks. I'm talking Hasbros. Who doesn't like a little Hulkaplex? It's a Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production found on the Shining Wizards Network.
I'm Duke Bags.
Kevin Rowe.
And together we are the co-hosts of Your Duke and Road. If you want to hear about some terrible wrestling shows, we got you covered.
Well, we talk about good ones, too.
We're currently talking about the death of WCW.
I know what we're fucking talking about. Sometimes we get guest spots, like from the Taskmaster. I like to listen to the Your Duke and Rope podcast. They're funny guys. I like when they talk about the Nards plows. I like Nards plows. That's a good move. And I like the Dungeon of Doom. You know, sometimes I call my butt the Dungeon of Doom. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Let me tell you a little bit about my favorite wrestling podcast. All right. It's a podcast from two men, Duke Bags, Kevin Rowe. They talk about professional wrestling. It's a man's sport. All right? And who better to talk about a man's sport than Duke? Oklahoma.
And once in a while, Vince Russo stops by.
Oh, you piece of shit! If you're not listening to the Your Duke and Rope podcast in the back with the boys, you piece of shit, I don't know what you're doing. It's, you gotta slide one in there. If you're a man, you're talking about something only a man can do. You're talking about sliding one in there. Bro, take the time to slide one in there. All right, bro, you piece of shit. Slide one in there. A Gorilla Brain Wrestling podcast production that you can find on the Shining Wizards Network.
And we are back. So go listen to any of those wonderful shows on the Shining Wizards Network. They all are a little unique, a little different, and they provide something fun to listen to. So go do it. Not now, because we're here now, but after us. All right, Joe. So I think we should probably talk AEW Dynamite, September 4th, 2024. It is a Wednesday, as all AEW Dynamites are. I don't know. Felt official for a second. So let me start. You know, I'm going to go a little bit in order. Well, no, we're not. Why am I even going to pretend we are? A man burnt down a house today. He burnt down another man's childhood home out of revenge for that man at one point sneaking into his house and looking into his child's cradle. I don't even know if I'm watching professional wrestling at this point. I feel like if they had swords, we'd be watching Game of Thrones.
I just want them both to end up being like odd couple roommates and be perfect strangers 2.0.
I'm going to tape down the center of the room, and this is your half, and this is my half. I mean, So for those who didn't know, earlier today, AEW posted a thing from Swerve saying that he had bought his childhood home that his parents had lost in foreclosure, and he always promised himself he was going to do it. It's a very sweet story. I'm sure like there's truth to it. Obviously, I don't think the house is the childhood home, at least not the one we saw. That being said, almost as soon as they posted it, every single person on the internet said that that's going to be lit on fire. Literally every single person that I follow put that out there. And there comes a time when doing the predictable is 100% the right choice. It just, there's no way you do anything but the predictable. And so the end of the show, the main event is supposed to be a contract signing or face-to-face. I don't know. I think it was a face-to-face. Swerve sitting at the table. They call out Hangman. He doesn't come. They call out Hangman. He doesn't come. And then the big screen goes, and it's Hangman in the house. He's walking around. And all of a sudden you notice that he's pouring gasoline all over the house. And he's giving this very dark, demented speech. It was just very good. I can't do it justice. But he was basically saying that Swerve was like, you have to choose between peace and revenge. And for him, it's the same thing. So he goes and he sits in this very old looking chair. I mean, it looked like an antique chair with his back to the house. And he's got a table next to him with a glass of, I guess, scotch or something of that nature. And he lights the house on fire. And boy, did he light that house on fire. I mean, that wasn't just a little fake fire. That was a full on fire. Now, I don't know if it was an actual house or that they just did the front of it. As Big G is saying that Gas Kennedy would be proud. Gas Kennedy wishes he had done what Hangman did. Obviously, Swerve's losing his mind because his childhood home just went up in flames. And the show ends with Hangman sitting in front of the fire, his back to it, just sipping away in that chair. And it's a badass shot. It was a badass scene. I also, like, that was a good fire. So, Joe, do you want to make s'mores?
Ooh, I'll bring the graham crackers.
Works for me. But your opinion, please.
Yeah, that was... There are no rules and laws in professional wrestling, are there? Like you could probably almost kill a man, and it would not be taken to court. You sell it in the ring, and this, we've had breaking in the ring. Now we have arson. You have terroristic threats. You have all these things, right? But this was as close to cinema as you get for a build to a match, and I really liked the way it was shot. I liked the Heyman pretty much doing a POV holding the camera, so it felt more authentic and not so much so produced. Because I feel like some of those, like Swerve breaking into Heyman's house, felt a little bit like, why is there a cameraman here? So I liked that angle of production. I thought Swerve's reaction in the ring to everything was really good from the emotional standpoint, really selling the childhood home. I think it just kind of kicked it up a notch. And I like the fact that you don't know who necessarily is the good or bad guy in this because both men have been at fault.
Yeah, so a couple things. I keep seeing people online be like, I want to know how much that random house cost that they bought. Was it a foreclosure? I honest to God wouldn't be surprised if it was just the front of the house. And then like the back. Like not like, you know what I'm saying? Like almost like, do you ever see Blazing Saddles? How they made the whole front of the town just those cardboard things? Like I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a realistic version of that. But that's neither here nor there. Or if there wasn't another reason to burn down the house and they did it for a point. Maybe it was like firefighter training and they're like, hey, if we do this, can you then? This is the first time we've seen an AEW Swerve like break. Like even when he's mad, he's mad. He hasn't really broken before, where like something got to him in a like things have gotten to him in the like it's pissed me off way. But this is the first one that's gotten to him in the like you actually scored a point on me emotionally. Like this was a bit too much, and that I really appreciate that. They needed to do that. Hangman needed this because for everything, it had always been Swerve getting one over, and finally Hangman has like a big moment. I know it's evil, but it's a big evil moment. He said it really kicked it up a notch. I am glad that they've already set the stipulation as a age match because I don't want it to be like I didn't want it to be like an Inferno match or anything. Scott's saying he was sitting too close to the house to be real. I fully believe he was sitting there and that house was on fire. What I don't know is the control of it. Like, I don't believe that he set the fire and it went as he was saying there. I think there was stuff done around that. I do believe at some point he was legitimately sitting in front of a house on fire, just so it worked. But like kind of like practical effects in a movie, you know, you can sit in front of a house on fire in a movie.
I did think earlier on the show when they had Swerve, they did a little vignette with Swerve talking about buying at the home, buying the house, and he's showing the photos of his childhood. For some reason, that didn't click with me as far as the character he is, the person he is on camera. It came off way too like bubblegum, cheesy face to me. Like, gee golly, wow, I finally can buy my childhood home. It didn't feel like it fit the character.
Yeah, but at the same point, it didn't. But I think that's why it works for this whole thing because it was the one thing, the one time Swerve showed like human emotions, and then it got lit on fire. Like, think about it. It didn't seem that was so out of Swerve's character, and then it got lit on fire. Like, what sucks about wrestling being still, even in this day, so protective of the kayfabe and the mystery is I really do want to know the behind the scenes of this. Like, I would love a behind the scenes quote unquote documentary, and you could get one, but it'll be down the road. They won't do one right away. Where I'd love to see, like, okay, what is Skyray? Is it completely all digital? Which is fine. If it is, there's a safety thing there. You'll never hear me complain. If it's practical, I want to see how it's pulled off because that's really cool. But it'll be a year or more probably before we ever see that. I'm sure I'm sure Fightful will have like a breaking on it, like, oh, this is what they say happened. But like, I want like an actual like documentary on like, it doesn't have to be long, but just the behind the scenes on like, this is what happened.
Does this kind of closing angle part, did this help? Did it make you want to watch the match more than you already did? I guess is my question.
It's tough because I don't think there was anything that could make me want to watch it more. I was so bought in. This is, in all of wrestling, probably the top blood feud at the moment because it feels the most real. Obviously, it's not, but it feels the most real. It's the one that story-wise I can buy into the hatred the most. They feel the angriest. So I don't know if there's anything, but it definitely didn't hurt it, I should say. Like, if nothing else, you know what? I think it did a little bit because I think it makes Swerve a little bit more interesting come Saturday. And God bless it being on Saturday. I think it makes Swerve feel a little bit more vulnerable in a way that I wasn't expecting. And I'm all for that. Hey, Jesse Ozak. Kate's not here, so I can say hi. Hi, Jesse. So yeah, I guess a little bit. Did it do that for you?
Yeah, I think it just heightened the blood feud more than how personal this is getting. So I'm, like you said, I like the fact it's a cage match where we don't have any other special stipulations. Just pitting two guys who just want to like beat the living hell out of each other to a near death and put them in the cage. It's the most barbaric thing you can do. I think it's simple, but yet it's like beautifully like executed at the same time. So I think these are great ways that you kind of write the end of the chapter.
Yeah. So, all right. So that was that. There's not much. Do you have any other comment on this? I mean, there's not much. I think we covered it pretty fully. This seems everyone in the chat loved it. Everything online seemed to think this was awesome. I will say this entire Dynamite felt like a big win. I think this was a nice follow up to last week's awesome episode. Maybe not quite at that level because it's got that weird position of being like a go home show after you kind of just left a pay per view, but it still was very good. It started with Daniel Garcia marching to the ring, and I say marching because he came out with some fire. And he was basically yelling at Max, and then MJF responded, and we were going to get an Oh Danny Boy song, but apparently the mic cut out, and I'm very sad about that because I would have been all for Max singing. So Max and him have a back and forth. Garcia had the favorite line to me, which was, he said, "One point in your life, Max, your kid's going to say, 'Daddy, were you a wrestler?' And you're going to have to respond, 'I was,' until Daniel Garcia ended my career." And I just love that line because it's so like, he doesn't have kids, but you could feel it being like, oh, well. And then Garcia wants to go beat up. So I should rephrase. Garcia's in the ring talking trash. Max is sitting in the crowd. So everyone, I'm assuming if you're listening or watching, you'll watch the show. But if not, Max is in the crowd. Garcia's in the ring. They have their back and forth. They're spat. Garcia decides he's going to go run at Max. Gets out of the ring, charges up. Security separates him. He gets around security, and MJF hits him with a wine bottle and splits him open. So MJF then says, "You've awakened something that was dormant." And then he licks the blood off his fingers, which I really hope that was something red in that wine bottle to mimic blood, because that's just gross. I don't need that. Like, come on, guys. But yeah, do you want to get hit in the head with a wine bottle, and any thoughts on the segment?
I do not, but thank you for asking. I really am liking this, this revitalized Garcia that they've reintroduced since coming back, and he's not, this is like the Red Death version, but kicked up a notch to me. It's not the dancing Garcia, it's just the I'm on a mission. I'm wearing all black. It's just, it's the Garcia I think we all wanted. And him coming out here and cutting that promo where he's making these little personal jabs at Max, I felt like it really kind of flipped the script where, a couple years ago, it was Max who was always making these little, comments about personal things, and here Garcia talking about Max's hair transplants and his hypothetical future family. And I just thought it was an interesting role reversal. But then to show that, Max was kind of cool, calm, and collected, and letting Garcia just kind of be blinded by his rage, and that being his undoing. It's just kind of Max being the guy who's like, yeah, I've been in that position, and you still have a lot to learn, kid. That's how I interpreted the segment a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not against that. I mean, I think it's smart for Max to be the comp. I mean, this is a rare feud where he's the vet. He's the experienced one. He's the one who's seen it all. I also like, though, that he's saying, "Hey, you woke up an eviler side of me," which is because even when Max is like heel, he's not what you call evil. He's rich guy evil. Like he's the kind of guy. No, well, kind of, but he's like the kind of guy who, like in an 80s movie, will buy the ski lodge to not let kids ski on the mountain. He's not the guy in the movie he's going to go like assault you with the machete. So like different kinds of evil, but now this seems more closer to the machete version than to buy the ski lodge. And yes, I was using a It's Always Sunny reference and a South Park reference, but we're going with it. So, but I like this. There's not a lot more to add to it. I'm excited for the match, and I'm with you. I like what they're doing with Daniel Garcia. It seems like a real step up for him, closer to Red Death. Seems to be a good mix of who he was, what he'd become, and to now what he will be.
How do you see their match playing out, Jay? I don't think we probably won't have time to do a prediction show, so I'm going to ask you now how you see that match playing out.
I mean, MJF's going to win. He's going to cheat to win. Garcia's going to have him beat at least once. And a ref bump, something is going to prevent that ref from counting. But Garcia is they're going to have a hell of a wrestling match, because when MJF wants to, he can, not when he wants to, he always does. MJF wrestles with the best of them. But yeah, he's going to have him beat. I mean, it's a very stereotypical wrestling thing, but it's a trope that exists for a reason. He's going to have him beat. The ref won't be able to count the 3 for some reason, a bump, a distraction, something. I don't know who would be doing the distraction, but something. And then MJF will hit him with something and win. Well, maybe the ring will have been found or remade or whatever, or brass knuckles or something. He'll hit him with that, pin him there. That's my prediction. What do you think?
I think MJF has to win this first one. I think he run it back. But also at the same time, I wouldn't hate the idea of Garcia after getting cracked over the head with a bottle, being like reinserting the diamond ring that he said he pawned off to pay for his trip to England. I think it would be funny if he kind of he used it against Max and beat Max with his own ring.
That would be
a nice way of doing it, but again, due to the fact that Max has done things, like bust the bottle over his head, low blows, all those things, I think we could let it slide.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready to have Max lose to Garcia yet, but I'm also not against that at all if that's the way they want to do it, because that would be a fun, interesting twist that I mean, now I'll see it coming because you predicted it, but had you not predicted it, I don't think I would have seen it coming. All right, we move on to one hell of a match between Kazuchika Okada and Kyle Fletcher. So all the Fletch lights, hands up. This went on for a while. I feel like this was like a 25-minute match somewhere. I mean, probably longer, but this was awesome. I mean, they let these two go all out. There was a brainbuster on the barricade at one point. I didn't think Fletcher would ever win, but there were a couple near falls. And then, of course, Okada wins with the Rainmaker. Well, so the question is, Joe, and I'll let you talk more on the spots because that's not my business. But would you rather take a brainbuster on the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, or brainbuster on the barricade?
Maybe the barricade. Only because I feel like the barricade is a little bit more narrow, so the chances of more impact on your neck or your head is limited. The surface area is not much.
That's fair. I appreciate it. I'm just trying to think of that through, but that's fair.
But both of them are nasty. Like Fletcher doing that spot on the apron, and back-to-back weeks, whoever it was, and then doing the one on the railing. Oh, it looked very safely done, but it just looked nasty to take.
Yes, completely agree. So what do you think about the match otherwise?
The match was great. I think for two guys that size who evenly matched as far as physicality, I think it worked well. I didn't quite understand how Fletcher got the match to begin with, though. He got a Continental Championship match after losing last week. So I wasn't quite sure how that played into things, but wins and losses don't matter as much anymore. So we can book however we want. It's another loss by Fletcher, but again, I like kind of this slow build we're getting with establishing him as one of a top guy. And I think some of his losses, like to MJF, like to Okada, I think they're definitely helping him more than hurting.
Okay. I mean, I think this is I think Fletcher got the match because Don Callis is just that good at negotiating, and he negotiated a match. Interesting that they referenced, Fletcher's got his bicep wrapped, and they're talking about that from Ishii. It was a back and forth match. I mean, that's something I was a little, but I guess to be as long as it was, if it wasn't back and forth. Moment where, go for it. What? No.
I'm gonna say my question to you would be like, who was the better bottle blonde? Who had the better bleached hair?
Fletcher.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on how you're judging it. I think Fletcher's is more bleached at the moment, so I was going by total bleach.
Okay.
But I put in our tweet today. I thought they were natural blondes. When Okada had Fletcher in the corner and was hitting him with the forearms, and he was doing the oi 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 Aussie. I mean, it was just Okada has that thing. They call it whatever, but like he can work a crowd. He can work. It's so good, but it's just. But I really think Fletcher got to show that. I mean, Fletcher's been consistently showing it, but he's going to be that guy at some point.
And
He's borderline there already, but
And the fact that Okada didn't exactly get a clean win. I mean, he did kick him in the junk before hitting the Rainmaker.
yeah. I was trying to remember that. Yeah, you're right. He got him in the family jewels. Yeah, I just think like we're gonna see this match again, and it was a lot of fun. This is one of those things where again we talked about the brainbuster spots, and but just go watch it. It's hard to like. Kate would probably list 7 spots she loves. I don't watch that way. What I watched is a match where they let both men show just how good they are. They have Okada still be the veteran, the one, while establishing that Fletcher is pushing these guys to that level, so that at any moment they decide to make Fletcher the guy, they can do it because they've already established that he's right there. That's just my opinion. We move on to a squash match, but it was probably a necessary one of Jamie Hayter versus Robin Renegade. Robin's been featured more in ROH, where she's had some success and some losses, but a squash match loss to Jamie Hayter on Dynamite does nothing bad for her. You had Saraya and Harley Cameron looking in on the match in the back. There's not a lot to say about this. It's just good to see that Jamie Hayter's back still. Any thoughts on that?
No, I did have that note as well, as that Saraya and Harley were watching the monitor in proper form with their body to the camera, and then that turned. I thought
you got to do it that way. If you're going to do it right.
She is classically trained at looking at a monitor.
She learned from the place that invented it.
Yep.
Oh no. Okay, you're back.
Other than that, yeah, like again, you're just continuing to build up Hayter in her return. I mean, I don't think she's going to squash Saraya, but she shouldn't be. She should win relatively handily against Saraya.
Agreed. Trying to think where we were. Oh, you have a face-to-face with Hook and Roderick Strong. Hook wants to attack Roderick Strong, but Christopher Daniels gets in the way. Hook challenges Strong to a match tonight. Strong turns down, but says he will be coming after that FTW championship, but when he's ready, Hook will be the first to know. I'm just glad to see Hook moving on to something. I think his feud with Roddy Strong will be good for Hook.
I like the fact that when Roddy yells Hook in his Roddy yell voice, Renee is so used to it that she no-sells it.
Yeah, she's gotten to that point now. She just no-sells him. I love it.
Christopher Daniels jumped at it, and Renee just sitting there annoyed, holding the microphone.
Yeah, he just no-sells it. It's perfect.
But yes, I hope that they do this. They promote this match and do it well, and not just throw it on 0 hour at all out.
Yeah, agreed. But that's I'm just glad to see Hook. He's finally gotten away from the Jericho for Vortex, and Strong will give really good matches, and this will be a time for Hook to show how. I don't think it did achieve what they hoped it would achieve. I think the Jericho Vortex was supposed to get Hook in the entertainment side, and now Strong's supposed to show Hook over in the wrestling side. But I think Strong also will help Hook in the entertainment because it won't be quite as outlandish. It'll be a little bit more grounded, which is I think where Hook works best. So I'm excited for this. Speaking of the Jericho Vortex, I'll skip to them right now. They did a thing where Jericho talked trash to Orange Cassidy, saying 4 years ago you cost me $7,000 because of my jacket. We flash back to 4 years ago, and it felt weird to watch that video. Anytime I watch the COVID era stuff, it is especially because it was July of 2020, so it was in the heart of it. Like they didn't know what they were doing at that point. Like we were a couple months, summer was better than say like April, but still they were figuring it out. And then Orange Cassidy walks up and tells Bounty Hunter Brian Keith, you could tell Jericho that if I lose to you on was it Friday? Yeah, Friday. I'll I'll pay him the $7,000. Meanwhile, Jericho's standing right there, but Orange Cassidy just doesn't even acknowledge that he exists. Pretends that he pretends he doesn't see him and tells Brian Keith to tell him, which of course makes Brian Keith lose his mind about the disrespect. Any thoughts on anything we saw here?
Nope, that was my favorite part. Just him pretending like Jericho wasn't there, and yeah, I think the jacket from when he got in the mimosa orange juice shower. It's interesting. It went from the white jacket that got orange juice rained on it to now he's wearing like a jacket that kind of looks like what it would look like if it was stained with orange juice after 4 years. I felt like he was wearing this like orange, just yellow suit jacket. That's all I could see. It's like it looked like what? No, years later, what it would look like.
Did you spread on the jacket, and after so many years, this is the full color?
Right. It just yellows and patinas and.
Listen, Orange ignoring him was I audibly cackled. It was a well played by him. So then we move on. That wasn't really. You have Moxley and Marina Shafir just carving their way through the back, just beating up everyone. I mean, there is literally not a soul saved. And then they make it to the ring. Mox now is officially using his New Japan music, which I do think is good for the change of character. Nothing establishes a different character better than new music. They still come through the crowd, though. Marina looks like his bodyguard. I saw that on Twitter. I don't want to steal that, which I think is perfect, that she looks like she's playing the bodyguard role. He gives a promo where he basically just hypes up Darby Allin. So it's like, a few years ago, I beat this man down, but he still got shook my hand. He's got what it takes, and he's this, but he just wants to have a conversation. And then they leave. It was like a minute promo at that. Any thoughts, feelings, concerns?
It was an interesting interaction that they were walking from backstage to the ring where they came across, the Elite.
I forgot about that. Yes.
And, they kind of like, he's like, what's up to the Jacksons and him. And then he calls Jack Perry a sweet kid. He didn't care what anyone else says, which is weird because then, Jack is wrestling his supposed BCC brother, Bryan Danielson. But anyhow, the promo is interesting. It still has a lot of intrigue about what the motive is behind everything, because I think we all know that it's not going to be a civil discussion.
Yeah, no, that's what I want to see. I want to see what this conversation is. But I'm enjoying this new Mox, and I'm enjoying Marina acting as the enforcer. I just think that's perfect for her. I think this is doing more for her than I actually liked her with Nyla. I think she was doing well, but they just were never. It was sporadic that you would see them. This will really help get her push forward. Speaking of Nyla, God, I'm good at segues. You have Mariah May versus Nyla Rose, because if you win a championship, you have to face Nyla Rose. It's a requirement. This was a hell of a match. I think Mariah May got busted up a little bit. It was back and forth. But Mariah May wins with the Storm Zero, retaining the championship. And then she kind of like lays in the ring, plays cutesy with it. I think Nyla looked very good in this match. I think she delivered. And Mariah is Mariah. Yeah, what do you got to say?
Would you say Mariah is on fire?
This Mariah is on fire.
Like you said, Nyla is really like the gatekeeper of, once you win a title, you have to face her. I think that's just because, being the second world champion, that's just automatically in her contract. And I know we've said before on the show that it really is time for them to like just really give her another push as a face and let her be Nyla. I think that would get really over if they really pushed her. Great match with like both of their, like Mariah's pretty powerful with her strikes. Nyla's strong and powerful. So I thought that was a fun dynamic between the two. Usually you see a smaller opponent be a little bit quicker and try to stick and move, but Mariah is still trying to get her shit in. The only thing that really bugged me was I felt like the finish was just kind of flat. It was just kind of, Nyla beat the 10 count, and then into a quick kick, and then a Storm Zero, and it's over really quick. So
yeah, but I think that's how they try to be like, someone like Mariah beats someone like Nyla. It's like you beat the power by just hitting him quickly. I mean, but I agree. Not my favorite ending, but a good match overall. We do have while we were in DC, I had said, what's going on with Deanna? Well, we get a Deanna package. How she thought the Texas Bull Rope match would be her like masterpiece, but it wasn't. But she's not done making art. There's not a lot to say here. I'm just glad that she's still getting something, that she'll still be pushed because she is awesome.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I think she had a match with Sheeta?
Yeah, she's a match with Sheeta on Friday.
So she's not going to win that match because she is not going to lose going into All Out. So it makes me wonder, like, okay, you're trying to build Peraza back up again and put her into hopefully a new feud. So I'm curious to see where that goes.
Correct. But yeah, she's not beating Sheeta, sadly. But I wonder if something happens during that match that maybe Mercedes interferes in the match and Sheeta wins through DQ, but it's not like a straight loss. They don't do that a lot. It's not my favorite ending, but I'd be okay with it here if it protects Deanna in a match that probably you want to protect Deanna, but you can't have Sheeta lose. Speaking of Sheeta, another segue. Good job, Joe. We have Mercedes walk out with Camille. Mercedes basically doing her shtick. I'm the CEO. I run this bitch. All that stuff. And then Hikaru Shida appears on the Tron in a suit, she posted on Twitter her next to a character from the Yakuza game. So I guess that's like her inspiration for it, like the Yakuza mob boss style. It looked awesome. I loved the suit. I loved the look. She had these black gloves on. And then she pulled the suit open and it was Velcro, which I don't know why, just really made me laugh. And she had on she's the ace of AEW with the old Cena for, I think she's holding a gun. That was something from, I think, like one of her maybe Stardom or one of the Joshi scenes back in the day. I don't think it was Stardom. I think it was something else. But I loved this look. I love this attitude. She says, well, she doesn't say. She has Christopher Daniels come on, and he says that Camille keeps interfering. That's a problem. Camille's banned from ringside for the match. And then in a callback to what Mercedes said to Private Party, she just says to Mercedes, sayonara, bitch. So that's a nice little callback. Love the look. Love the stipulation. Love it all. Yo, Joe.
My only thought was I liked the fact that we got a little bit of a role reversal again, where usually it's the heel. It's like, hey, look up here at the big screen.
Yeah.
So I'd like that, the change of that. But yeah, I really like what they're doing with Sheeta again and building her back up. And she is one of the old school originals who I think is great to be able to use whenever they need to use her for title moments.
She's also a hell of a wrestler.
She is, and there's a reason why she's can be like break glass in case we need Sheeta. Like, hey,
before the women's division ramped up, whenever you needed to get a match out of someone, Sheeta was who you had them face. Sheeta got everyone's best match. Now she's not that person anymore. Not because she doesn't have that skill, but because, like you said, they don't need to throw her out there for everyone's.
Right.
But she still will be a person's best matches because she's still that good. But my point being is she was the one that they used whenever they needed the best match. I'm pumped for that. I think it's going to be killer, her and Mercedes. I think they're going to have a fun mix of styles. Sheeta likes to kick hard and hit hard, and Mercedes, I'm hoping it's closer to what we saw in New Japan Strong and Capital Collision versus what we saw at Wembley from Mercedes. I think that'll be a fun mix of styles.
Where's your
segue? Oh yeah, you have the Elite. What'd you say?
Like, where's your segue now?
I don't have. Listen, I'm lucky I've gotten this far. We have the Elite talk backstage, and basically Perry just being like, "Screw you, Bryan Danielson." There's not. I mean, there was more to it than that, but
it foreshadowed what would happen later on.
Yeah, I don't think there was a lot said. Like Perry was trying to almost blame Danielson for not wanting to help him or whatever. It didn't hold a lot of water. So and I'm not in a bad way. It's not an insult to it. Heels aren't supposed to make sense, and sometimes, not all the time, but a lot of the times heels aren't supposed to make sense because otherwise, why would they be heels? So I'm fine with his not holding water. It just whatever. So what we got was, so then we go into the match, the Blackpool Combat Club, which I'm shocked it still exists. Claudio and Wheeler Yuta and Pac versus the conglomeration, Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy with Will Ospreay. I don't, again, this is even harder for me to pick out spots. It was really good. It was just, it's that 6-man, and I love that 6-man style, but it's, for my way I watch wrestling, very hard for me because it's just, to me, I would describe it as the best kind of clusterfuck. It's just people everywhere. It's, I do like that Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy have that kicking spot now where the guy's on the knees and Kyle kicks him and Orange kicks him softly, then Kyle kicks him again, and Orange kicks him a little harder, then Kyle kicks him, and then Orange really hit like that. That's fun. But the conglomeration was not able to get the win. They lost because Kyle lost on a pinfall right after a giant swing from Claudio. Not surprising. The BCC and Pac had the belts. The conglomeration, Will Ospreay, were not going to have those belts. After the match, the Elite come down. Danielson was on commentary. She said Danielson comes down. They celebrate. Pac is in the back beating up Will Ospreay. I don't know where the conglomeration is, but the Elite come down. They start beating the hell out of the BCC. The BCC fight back. Words are exchanged. At All Out, we now have the Young Bucks versus Claudio and Yuta for the titles. Not the matchup I would have wanted, but at the same point, on a short-term notice for something that's not going to change hands, at least they're wrestling and defending on the card. I'm going to at least say that. Thoughts, feelings, emotions? Sure.
So I marked this down as the not quite BCC versus the not quite conglomeration.
Oh, that's nice. The not quite versus the not quite.
Yeah. I like the fact that early on with Danielson on commentary that Excalibur did ask him, like, what's going on with the BCC? Like, is Pac in it? What's your relationship with Moxley? Because Moxley's out doing his thing now. And Danielson really didn't answer it other than, yeah, Pac has the makings of being in the BCC. So I think that I like the fact they addressed what we all have been kind of thinking, but they still didn't give us any answers about it. Like you said, these 6-man tags are always fun. They're always very formulaic as far as the layout of the match. It eventually turns into a cluster, like you said. I liked watching Kyle in the match because I liked when he has his like deep dragon sleeper in or the guillotine, and then it's just fun to see him go from backstage Kyle with Mark Briscoe to the guy who can in a millisecond break off a Jitami and just like break someone's arm. So like that whole dichotomy of a person makes him so fun to watch. But I think the outcome was right, and setting up the BCC versus the Bucks, like I'm not a fan of it. Not a fan of champions versus champions. When there are other tag teams out there that you could easily have a match with. You already have a champion versus champion match with Jack Perry and Danielson. I just feel like those kind of matches they don't really do much for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Crap, you had said something. Oh, when Mark Briscoe was doing his promo in the back, and Kyle, he's like, I called up Kyle. Kyle's like on the phone, mimicking that he's on the phone. It's just, he's very good at that. You're right.
That promo, watching him and Kyle, I'm like, I want them to coach a youth soccer team together. Like, that's the kind of partnership they have. Like, Mark would be hyping him up, and Kyle would be the guy in the sunglasses and hat. Like, he'd be like the assistant lacrosse coach on American Pie, who's like, just repeats what the coach says.
Oh, you're right. I love it.
Determination. Score until you score.
I like it. So that was AEW Dynamite going into All Out. Again, this is a short show. For anyone, I apologize. We're going to call this the Ryan Migraine episode. Joe, any final thoughts on the show, and where can we find you?
No, I think like you said earlier, it was a good episode. I think they stacked 2 quality episodes of Dynamite together, which maybe isn't always as easy to do between 2 pay-per-views. I think that can be kind of difficult sometimes to have go-home shows so close together and have them be good go-home shows and not just, ones that feel a little bit phoned in sometimes. So I thought they did a really good job of getting the card built out and hyped up. So yeah, looking forward to that. But otherwise, on social media, you can find me at _Asian Joe. I have a bio and a link in my bio for my serial review blog if you want to catch up on old ones. Other than that, I'm here on Wednesday with Ryan. And Ryan, where are you at?
I'm on all our socials. At Mark Order Pods, just be cool. I'm here every Wednesday at 10:15. Oh, I did like the show. I think, like you said, it was a great back-to-back week. I'm very excited for All Out, even though it has very limited build. Still think it's going to be great. I bought the fight package that gave me a discount, making me feel a little bit better about it. So you can follow me at Mark Order Pod on all socials. Follow my history blog, hereforhistory.com. I am actually now researching and studying things. That'll pick up soon now that life's evening out of it. And with that, thanks everyone for being in the chat. Again, I apologize for a quick episode. My brain is already on its way out. So I'm going to put up the outro. And the outro.
This concludes the Mark Order Podcast. We now return you to your regular